When you talk about the moneyed power interests, i.e. banks, have an important lobby, and I think it's interesting to note that all we had as far as electable candidates, it seems, in the past few elections were senators. I mean, how often now do we see one of these folks from the House of Representatives and the backing and support of the powers that be, Ron Paul, for instance? I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful to have someone come into power who actually had the middle class in mind as opposed to the wealthy elitist?
Oh, yeah. We're certainly not in the great republic that we started off to be 200 years ago. We have evolved. Our political system has been whittled away by people with an axe to grind, and it's been hollowed out. The surface, looks pretty much the same. You go to Washington, you still see all those nice, beautiful buildings and the manicured grounds, and you see American flags flying everywhere, and everybody is saluting the flag, and you've got all kinds of patriotism and all that. That's all on the outside. And you look past the skin, and you find that the inside has all been changed, and it's not that free system anymore. It's a collectivist system, not a lot different from, as I said before, not a lot different from communism or fascism or Nazism or socialism or any of those other isms. It's collectivism, and it means all-powerful government telling the people what to do. It's government from the top down, not from the bottom up the way it used to be. Well, that's on the inside. All of that has changed, and we still look at the outside and say, well, America is America. It's the greatest country in the world and all of that, but it has changed. And if once you really look past the skin, I don't think you would even recognize it.
Very well said. Here's food for thought. What would happen if the American taxpayer collectively refused to pay the Federal Reserve its usurious interest?
If a sufficient number of the taxpayers were to do that and were to stand firm and risk going to prison because of it, because I can assure you that many, many tens of thousands would go to prison. But if there are enough people would take that stance, well, the government would have to back down because they couldn't enforce their tax laws anymore. But by the same token, the government really wouldn't worry too much about money, loss of revenue, because all they have to do is create money out of nothing through the Federal Reserve System, and they would continue to spend all the money they needed through the Federal Reserve System. So there are two issues there. One is the financial side. It really wouldn't slow the government down at all, because look at the money they're spending now. Trillions and trillions of dollars. They don't have that money. Where is it coming from? Well, the Fed is creating it, of course. So on the financial side, that wouldn't really bother the government too much. But on the population control and social side, they would be very concerned over that, because that would prove that there was a great rebellion going on and that they were losing control over the citizenry.
A primary theme running through your book is clearly secrecy. I think you would agree that this hidden global elite, well, they have a game plan here. It seems to have gone into overdrive, if you will, at the end of, or with the end of the Bretton Woods Agreement under Nixon in 1971.
Yes, there is a lot of secrecy, and mainly I think the secrecy is required by these people, because if full disclosure was made, there would truly be a rebellion on the part of the voters. Americans are going to tolerate this sort of chicanery, this legalized theft. They're going to tolerate this only if they don't know about it. And so full disclosure is not something that is an option with these people on the inside, because what they're doing really, if it were understood clearly, would be the end of their game. So there has to be secrecy from top to bottom. They always have to explain whatever they're doing. They have to explain it in terms of, well, this is in the best interest of the American people. We're raising interest this week or lowering interest this week, whatever they decide to do. This is for you folks. We're either trying to cool down this rampant inflation for you folks, or we're trying to stimulate jobs and employment and industry and commerce for you folks. You see, they never come forth and say, well, we here decided to issue this money or change this interest rate or whatever they decide to do. We decided to do this because we figured we could get away with it, and the voters would probably not complain too much, and we sure could use the extra money. If they said that, of course, that would be the end of the game. So there has to be secrecy and deceit and all of that sort of thing. And the other thing you mentioned is also very true in my view, and that is that there are other agendas here. These people no longer are just thinking only of money and profits and control here at home. They have their eyes set on merging this American system into a global system of similar proportions and similar nature. They refer to this fondly as the New World Order, and they really are working hard to create that system. I think, especially as our economy begins to unwind, they are thinking that, well, what's the next step? We're not going to be able to save this system, so let's use this chaos and this unrest as justification to convince at the voting place, to convince the voters that we now need a new world order. We really need now a global monetary system. We really need a new global government. We need to get rid of this national sovereignty. We need to get rid of America, actually, as an independent nation. Let's think globally now. This is the solution. And, a lot of people are going to fall for that, not realizing that the very people who are proposing it are the same ones that created the mess in the first place, and their total plan is just to solidify the whole world under that kind of a system, so there will be literally no place to go, no place to escape.